Okay, so this is part 2 of the Archive Management Cockpit presentation. This time we want to actually really just not only do the analysis of ADK files or archive sessions, but we want to actually do something, the encryption. In this case, we show encryption. So for the encryption again, in the customizing AMC 1, we can call for a specific field in a certain archive file, archive object file, a certain encryption mechanism, because there could be many different encryption mechanisms. In this case, we have one example of many. This exit actually points to a function module, and that function module is a wrapper function also we can call customer specific or Dolphin or SAP specific encryption mechanism. And the second thing is, in this case, we're not just doing the analysis. In this case, we just do the two-step process of analysis and then encryption. So let's go ahead and basically go again into our data processing transaction. And so in this case, we're basically changing the session model to do encryption. So the change request is encryption and the session model is encryption. So step 1, analyzed. Step 2 is encrypt. And why do we analyze? Because encryption makes only sense based on the counters, which we have shown you earlier. If there is, of course, everything encrypted in an ADK files, we don't need to execute the step 2. The analyze is basic decision-making process. Do I actually proceed and do the encryption, yes or no? Where similar, we have, again, in order to get started, we just do the dispatch, the initialization. So let's go ahead, we initialize, and let's look in the catalog again. The AMC catalog is now initialized with a different session model here, in this case encryption. Nothing has happened yet, but we'll just actually put them into the catalog. It's the work list. We have no start times. Here we have all the tracking of what job starts, or job 1, what's the timestamps, the dates, when did I finish, when did I start, when did I finish. So we have all the traceability of when what step did actually execute. And so then the second thing is, once it's in the catalog and I've decided what kind of what are all of my sessions which I want to process, I go ahead and really want to do the encryption now. So basically I'm going ahead and do the run. Of course, I would schedule that in the background, but if you can see here, we're basically creating now children. We have the source file with the unencrypted information. Now we have an AMC child which has the encrypted credit card number. So let me actually see. If I do a refresh on the catalog, I see now that the old file has produced the 1638 session, and in this case we did the encryption of 3, and we have the start date and the end time, end date and end time. So this was extremely quick because for demo purposes we have small archive sessions. So and basically what we can now really the proof if the tool actually did work correctly would be to go again into the archive file browser and now review this new session. So let's have a look at this. So 1638 is the child which we are now produced. And if I actually now go a little bit, so it was created from conversion of 1240. If I double click in here, I can see now the content in the archive file. And of course, what I'm interested in is the credit card number field. So I basically find the FPTLT field, and once I press the table tab, I can actually see that now the credit card numbers are encrypted and not readable anymore. And that's exactly the result we expected. That is pretty much it. So any arbitrary transformation, in this case encryption, certain which we actually have used, or in SAP, or a customer-specific mechanism can be used to encrypt or modify in one or the other way any field in this archive file. Let me just show this one more time again. The AMC1 basically in the second tab tells us that the credit card number, is essentially, located. We're going to actually, this basically tells us that we want to work on the credit card number. We have the mechanism of how do we encrypt it, and the information in what a table I have to look. That is specified in the ARC3 transaction in the fourth tab, where I can see that for this archive object VBAK, this information is located in this table, which and this field. So if I go in here again, show this, and I switch this from to the technical view, I see now that we actually have the credit card number in exactly this table, which is the FPLTC table. That's the desired result. And let me just mention one more time, the concept of the AMC2 transaction is there, that I can now add additional jobs. Right now the encryption module had 1, analyze, 2, encrypt. We can now add number 3, like on-index the parent. So we could go in here and write a method to do the on-indexing PBS or SAP indexes on build. Then we could do the deletion. Then we could do the indexing of the new file. So we can add nicely to this session model to have traceability. First I do this, second I do this, then I do the indexing, on indexing, then I do the deletion, then I do the indexing of the child, and so on and so forth. So a very flexible way to do that. The implementation is done in classes which I can create. I can simply copy the sample classes provided and then create new methods and then update these customizing entries in here to extend the exact scenario which I had in mind. This concludes the presentation.